Hi everyone, this is another video in our series on the indisputable proofs of creation, and this is going to talk about the gravitational pull of Earth. You think, well, why is that special? Oh, it's very special. So the Earth's gravitational pull among the planets is unique, and if significantly less mass, we would have lost our atmosphere. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a book I had since I was a young boy. I was 10 years old. The space program was exciting. I was studying space, science, everything. And we're going to land on the moon in another year. This was big time. And my parents got me this series called the Science Series, I think is what it was called, from Nelson Doubleday, and I get one a month, and it was just really special. And the one on gravity was like the one I always kept going back to because it just really was surprising how it works, or how mysterious it works in a sense. Gravity is a fact of life which makes life possible. Apart from keeping us glued comfortably to our planet, even while the Earth races around the sun at a speed of what? 67,000 miles per hour. Gravity keeps a tight rein on our life. Just think about that. You and I are now moving, no matter what. In real physical terms, you and I are all moving at 67,000 miles per hour every second of every day. To race around the orbit, we're orbiting the sun. Just to do that, forget about our own orbit, what that speed is. I think that's only like 15,000 miles an hour. But the overall speed of the planet is 67,000 miles per hour in its travel around the sun. That's just mind-boggling, right? It has been estimated that if the Earth's gravitational force had very much less than its actual strength, and that's a little bit enigmatic, hard to understand exactly what they mean by that, but we'll get to that in a second. Most of our atmosphere would have been lost to interplanetary space ages ago, hence the lifelessness of the moon. So what they're saying is our gravity is what holds the atmosphere to us, and the gravity comes from the size of our mass. So it was the actual mass of our planet that was ideal for the formation of an atmosphere. And without an atmosphere, there would be no life. So basically, life turns on the amount of mass we have more than anything else, and then that creates or allows an atmosphere to even exist. And so then it says, it is a little mysterious what it's saying here. It has been estimated that if the Earth's gravitational force had been very much less than its actual strength, I think what it's trying to say, if it had been a little less than its actual strength, it would have been, chaos because we would have had no atmosphere. Or it's saying it had very much, if it was somewhat less or whatever, or just even, I think what it's saying is if it's even just a little less than its actual strength, we would have no atmosphere. I think that's what it meant to say. It's just a little confusing. But anyway, whether it's a little or a lot or whatever, the force of gravity is what's keeping us alive from the weight of our planet is holding down the atmosphere. So when you go to the moon, there is no atmosphere because there's no mass big enough to hold that atmosphere to the moon's surface, and so it just evaporates. Even if there was some chemical there, you released oxygen, it's not going to start. You couldn't build an oxygen planet there without using buildings to hold down the oxygen or contain it. Okay, and this is going to be very puzzling to you, but listen to this. At page 3, gravity, quote, extends into limitless space. All objects have gravity, although no one yet knows its cause. Gravity is a characteristic of all matter. Everything attracts everything else, some things more than others. The more matter there is, the greater the gravitational attraction between objects. So actually, what they're saying there is that, I'm holding the mouse in my hand. I have mass, the mouse has mass. The mouse and my hand are attracted to each other. Probably I work too much here. No, it's but anything physical is physically attracted to you because you have matter in you. So all matter is attracted to other matter, and physically. So there's this underlying force that we can't stop. It just exists in all matter. But it's a very, 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 very weak thing. But when you have to have a huge mass like a planet Earth in order to have it have a major effect which is what we see. We see it holds down our atmosphere. It holds us on Earth. It gives us the illusion that we're not traveling at 67,000 miles per hour. We're not even moving as far as we know. We're just having a quiet afternoon, and my kitty cat's asleep right next to me. Um, it's just puzzling how appearance is so different from reality. So remember, Jesus said, don't judge by appearance, judge by reality. So in the real world, we should keep saying, I'm traveling at 67,000 miles per hour, because that's what's really going on. And why don't I feel that? Why is this like an illusion that I can feel comfortable and have a normal life, and I'm not worried about, the wind at my back constantly rushing past at 67,000 miles an hour? Those are good questions. It really is a puzzle. How did that happen that I don't have to deal with the 67,000 mile per hour wind? And then nobody knows the cause of gravity. Think about that. Here's something that's invisible, immaterial, cannot be quantified except its strength or force. And it's in everything and everywhere. It's a very mysterious property of matter. All right, we're going to go on. I think I have another slide about this very issue. Yes, I do have another. Any two objects, even two little balls, pull at each other with a force of 0 point, and I'd have to count how many there are, but it looks to me like there's 9. 0.000006673 cubic centimeters per gram per second. So it's a constant thing. It's not just pulls once and stops. It keeps going. It's a constant force. This is known as the big G, what we call gravity. And this is in the booklet at page 27. Okay, so as a young man, I started writing up these things for myself. So I'm going to share with you what I wrote and concluded. All matter has inside of it a call to other matter, although very weak, to come to it. We call this gravity or gravitational force. This call to other matter is exactly equal in all matter, no matter what type of mass. As mass increases, that is, it collects into a single organic or inorganic form, the collective call or the gravitational force increases proportionally. Although scientists have examined inorganic and organic matter, even at the molecular level, they have never found the mechanism within matter that causes gravity. Thus, gravity is an invisible, unseen property or force that produces clear effects from which we deduce the existence of gravity. Because it cannot be seen, it cannot be felt, it cannot be touched, it cannot be changed. It is an unalterable part of our physics. So these are largely the thoughts of an 11-year-old. So you could just discard them if you don't like them. But this is what I concluded. It follows that gravity is itself a non-material force. It exists, but itself has no material aspect. It indwells matter, much like our minds indwell our bodies, and yet our thoughts are floating on matter but not defined by matter. The general public is generally unaware of what gravity represents. Gravity is unseen, immaterial, and yet real. And the G-force was imprinted on matter as a virtual instruction, what we all acknowledge now as the law of gravity. Thus, if gravity is real, it proves God can be real, even if not material, and invisible if we see real effects in our universe. That was me at 11 years old. So I was pondering the nature of reality and thought gravity has a lot of similarities to what we say, what scientists would say are problems about finding God. I thought to myself, well, if you can find gravity, you can prove God. Because it's the same, everything about it is the same, except one is a physical force and the other is what? A spiritual force that created gravity. So in other words, you have to have a spirit that can create this kind of amazing property that's so subtle and so refined, but yet so important and so crucially set that it works, and it's how we live. We are surviving because of that measurement, the point in the 9 zeros and that small little number there. If that number had been any different, we'll find out later when we study the entropic principle. If it had been just slightly different, we wouldn't be here. It's just this signature of this God that I'm talking to you about is so fine that you can see his signature not just in the critical mass 1 of the universe, we got one that earlier, not just simply in the chaos factor that suppresses our flying out into space uncontrollably, but also the simple effect of gravity that without which we couldn't have life. Literally, it's just imagine you had everything else but no gravity. There'd be no life. There'd be no possibility of life, and it would have to be precisely the kind of gravity we're experiencing. We're traveling at 67,000 miles per hour, getting sun every 24 hours, half of the day onto this planet, keeps it growing, keeps it thriving, and yet it's moving at such high speed and doesn't lose its atmosphere. It's mind-boggling. It truly, truly is mind-boggling. Okay, but I think we've got a couple more slides and then we're done. Okay, I thought I'd just do one slide where we look at the Earth. Just take it in. The mass of this planet is perfectly situated so you can see the clouds are floating above what? Above the Earth on top of the atmosphere or in the atmosphere. And then you see this blue light. That is a layer that is protecting us from space. And can you grasp the improbability that a rock could have formed a gaseous expulsion and it didn't fly off into space when that is traveling at 60? How many miles was that? 67,000 miles an hour? And it just didn't blow off? You would have to set the parameters of the weight of this planet to be perfect to catch the chemicals that are from the rocks, extruding from the rocks, like hydrogen extrudes from the rocks of the planet. Oxygen is buried in under the ocean. I remember when I studied the books on the moon that the moon actually pulled out all the water from our that were under the rocks. So, and that released all kinds of chemicals, and H2O, water is made up of chemicals and combining. So, I mean, this planet is, some people say it's a privileged planet, or in some people deride it and call it a small blue pale dot, like it's nothing. This is a miracle. Whatever they say, it just even the little bit of gravity we're talking about, just the size of this thing is perfect for us. No other planet has atmospheres like this. The others have toxic chemicals. But anyway, so just enjoy it, look at it, and I'm going to have one video to say ciao and thanks for watching. Okay, so I would just ask you, if you wouldn't mind, try to please share this video with a friend or family member or someone who wants to post challenges on our comment page, someone who's interested in science but maybe doesn't believe in creation, that there was a creator. We think that there's a lot of people who would be encouraged just to know that they're not an accident. This universe is by far from an accident. It has every sign and signal that it was created with a purpose, and that purpose was us. This is a loving God, and there could be other. And I personally, I think the phenomenon of UFOs probably indicates there's life on other planets. God in the Bible never says there's no life on any other planet. That's just our human-centric perspective. But he didn't say there was. He didn't do anything on any other planet. He doesn't need to tell you what he's doing on other places. So he could be doing this on numerous other places. He doesn't need to focus his attention all on us. He can have the same plan going on another planet with people who look totally different, or maybe the same. Who knows? We don't know. But the point is that we can't guess about things we don't know. So, but there's some evidence that these things do exist, and so whatever. My point is this: people love this topic. This is a great topic for personal reflection. And what did Jesus say in the book of Revelation? The eternal gospel is to fear God and worship him as creator. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to honor God by studying his world. And when there's evidence that I can show you that proves God exists, or he's the best explanation for what you're seeing, so for example, gravity. What's the best explanation of something that can't be found, can't be quantified, can't be tasted, touched? It's immaterial. It's a complete immaterial force, just like God is. And yet it exists. And yet we can see its effects in nature. It's a object lesson to those doubting scientists. Just the force of gravity alone tells those doubting scientists, you yourselves believe in something that is immaterial, can't be tested and tasted, or any of those things, yet you know it exists. by the effects it has in the real world. And the effects it has is exactly what we're seeing. It keeps us alive, and yet it's completely immaterial and has no substance. And you could crash a rock in pieces and you'll never find anything called gravity in there. It's just there. Anyway, I hope this was edifying and helped every one of you, and maybe you can pass it on to a friend and they would enjoy it. I think everybody loves to learn about creation, even if they're an atheist. They always still love to hear about it. So don't worry about it. They won't get angry at you. Okay, God bless. Take care. Ciao.